We have Rosemary here. And she's saying, Dear Acharya Ji, it has become so much clearer that the only real job I have in this life is to work hard on becoming free. This is also due to watching the people in your organization. They have made an impression on me in the way they are committed and dedicated. That makes them feel as dear ones. The Buddha said to take refuge in the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangh. Now, one of the verses in the reading says, Therefore hold nothing dear, for separation from the dear is painful. There are no bonds for those who have nothing beloved or unloved. So Rosmarina asks, does this verse apply to the people in the Sangha too? I don't feel pain when I think of them. Rather, mine is a lovely feeling. Is the verse talking of non-seekers? Thank you for explaining. Yes, Rosemary. So what have you said? You have said that one of the Dhammapada verses talk of not letting someone become your beloved. Otherwise, it will lead to suffering. And you are saying that when you think of the days you spent here and the people in the organization you met, you feel a certain association, a certain sweetness. The Buddha seems like saying that one should not be associated. I will repeat the verse. Therefore, hold nothing dear, for separation from the dear is painful. There are no bonds for those who have nothing beloved or unloved. And she is saying that the Buddha said that one must seek refuge in the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. From here arises the contradiction. She is saying on one hand, the Buddha is saying that one must seek refuge in the Sangha. And now when she is finding the people in the Sangha endearing, lovely, the Buddha is advising, now don't hold anybody dear. Let there be no beloveds. This contradiction seems to perplex her. We'll go into it. The Buddha is talking of seeking refuge in the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. What comes first? The Buddha. And who is the Buddha? Not Prince Siddhartha. Not just the Shakyamuni. Ask the Buddha and he'll say, I am just one of the Buddhas. It's a train of Buddhas. It's a succession, a river of Buddhas. I happen to be one mortal manifestation of Buddhahood. Remember, a mortal manifestation of Buddhahood. Therefore, the Buddha really is the great emptiness in which nothing of what Siddhartha left behind is present. I'll repeat. The Buddha is the emptiness in which nothing of what Siddhartha left behind is present. What did Siddhartha leave behind? What was it that made him leave and quit? He saw suffering. He saw attachment. He saw the foolishness of the ways of the world. He is going to celebrate in the youth festival. And he is crossed by an old man. Ordinary minds, insensitive minds, won't be touched by this coincidence. But to a great flowering like Siddhartha Gautama, it was just too much. He was very safely raised, with great care, protected from the vagaries and the weathers of life. And now he is going to participate in a youth festival, and he sees sickness, and he sees poverty, and he sees death and old age. And he says, no, not done if such are the ways of the world. And it's not as if he had been suddenly and harshly woken up. It was in the making. The young Siddhartha had been given all the provisions and amenities to regale himself. All kinds of entertainments, amusements, as a young adult might rejoice in. And one night, after all the beautiful girls had danced and dined and wined and fallen asleep all around him, he woke up in the dead of the night. And he happened to look at the faces of the girls, the dancers, the courtesans. And somebody's mouth was open and saliva was dripping. And somebody's appearance was all shabby now. Somebody's hair was all slovenly now. The makeup had all gone bad and mixed. The clothes were now all spoiled and creased. The eyeliner was now just black marks and black spots. The lip paint appeared ugly now. The Buddha is the realization that all that which appears is bound to give you disappointment. It is not only that which appears dear. Everything that appears is bound to give you disappointment, and the disappointment will be even more severe if you are attached. Things are not what they appear to be. One gets riveted to appearances. Appearances don't last. That leads to frustration. The equation is simple. So when the Buddha is saying that take refuge in the Buddha, he is saying take refuge in the realization that I had. And the realization was pretty faces disappoint. Youth doesn't last. Her lips appeared so very inviting. Her parted lips were an inducement, a welcome. Now the lips are parted, and all one sees is the saliva trickling down. Buddha says, take refuge in the absence of endearments. The Buddha is not saying take refuge in me, the person. He's saying take refuge in me, the shunyata, in me, the freedom, in me, the absence, in me, the clarity. And the clarity itself is that everything else is not worth approaching for refuge or shelter. The Buddha is the realization that endearment costs dearly. Now the Buddha says, Buddha, Dhamma, Sangh, Buddham Sharanam Gaccha, Dhammam Sharanam Gacchami, Sangham Sharanam Gacchami. If the Buddha is what we just saw him to be, what would be his dharma? His dharma would be realization without attachment. In fact, it's redundant to say realization without attachment, because the realization itself is that attachment is not only futile but dangerous. And then comes the Sangh. What then is the purpose of the Sangh? The Sangh is a vehicle. Be it the Buddha's Sangh or be it the foundation that you are referring to, both are vehicles. They are vehicles to bring more minds to emptiness. They are carriers. They carry people into emptiness. One doesn't get infatuated with vehicles. One loves them for what they are, not for what would defeat them. If you cling to someone who is preaching non-clinging, are you loving him or defeating him? If you get attached to someone who is teaching non-attachment, are you his student or detractor? The Sangh is from the Buddha and for the Buddha. And the Buddha is pure wisdom. What do you think was the relationship of the Buddha's monks with the Buddha? It's a pertinent question. The Buddha was keeping them in the Sangh. They were physically present with the Buddha. But what was the nature of the relationship? Would the Buddha encourage them or even allow them to have a clinging mind? At the same time, he would want them to be in the Sangh. The vehicle can cling neither to a point on the road nor to the destination. The vehicle must continuously keep moving. What do I mean by a point on the road? The vehicle cannot cling to any particular point in the journey, which means nobody in the Sangh can cling to any other person in the Sangh or anybody outside the Sangh. The vehicle would stop moving. The moment it clings to any point on the road, the vehicle stops moving, loses its purpose, and becomes unfit for the Sangh. At the same time, the vehicle cannot even cling to the destination. That too will make the vehicle unfit. The vehicle has come to the destination and parked itself there permanently. Of what use is such a vehicle? One needs the vehicle to freely move to and fro. there has to be a certain dynamism, a certain non-attachment. The vehicle has to be with everybody and yet be with nobody. There is no point on the road that the vehicle abhors, and yet the vehicle doesn't stop at any point. There is nobody the vehicle refuses to carry, and there is nobody the vehicle permits to be permanently stationed on the vehicle. The vehicle has open doors. Welcome, kindly board. And very soon the vehicle must also say, kindly deboard. That's what the Sangh is about. It's not about having personal equations, and yet it is about having tremendously deep love. Tremendously deep love for the Buddha, the impersonal Buddha. And because you love the Buddha, you also love all those who are with the Buddha. It's a reflected love. It is an indirect love. Because you love creativity, so you love the painting. Because you love God, so you love the one who talks of God. Now remember that the one who talks of God has attributes that cannot be ascribed to God. God must remain formless. The one in front of you has form. If you start getting attached to form, you will forget the formless. You will forget the Buddha. If you start getting attached to persons in the Sangh, you will defeat the purpose of the Sangh, because you will forget the Buddha. The Buddha said, first of all, Buddham Sharanam Gacchami. And lastly, Sangham Sharanam Gacchami. The Sangh is for the Buddha. Even the Shakya Muni is just a servant of the Buddha. The Buddha that you see walking in flesh and blood is just a servant of buddhahood. Lovingly worship buddhahood. That should be your primary love. All else is incidental.